Hello and welcome to Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
And I'm Junko.
That's right. Today we have our special guest Chunko, and today we are discussing Alien Earth, the FX TV series that's a spinoff of the Aliens movie series,
Yep.
created by Noah Hawley, and who has made Legion and Fargo with some other FX shows. And I know this show is some people love it, some people hate it. So I think today will be an interesting discussion. So
hmm
before we get into the show, I guess we'll just talk about where we're coming from each. I have not seen all of the Aliens movies. I do not like things like jump scares and stuff. So, but I feel like I've basically seen Alien from all the clips and reactions I've watched of it. I've basically seen most, if not all, of that movie. I have seen Aliens
I,
a couple of times. Yeah, go ahead.
if I could expose you for a second, this review was his idea too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I've seen Aliens a couple of times. I do like that one. And I've seen Prometheus, and then I've read the plots of all the other ones. So I'm not like I like the world of Aliens, but I'm not a huge fan of the movies. I guess is where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So Caleb, what's your background with Aliens?
So I myself am a big fan. We both are. Chunko and I. We have the special editions of the first four. I'm a big fan of Prometheus. Um,
Oh,
uh,
giant fan of Prometheus.
giant fan of Prometheus. Alien Covenant is horrible. Um, Alien Romulus is really good. Um, I even take into account the video games. Sometimes, isolation is definitely part of the story. As much as I hate it, Colonial Marines is a part of the story. Um,
Maybe not.
I mean,
Maybe we
who
should tend
knows?
not to.
And then Alien versus Predator. I love Alien versus Predator and all that. So I myself am a huge fan of the franchise, and this was probably my most hyped TV show of the year. Um, because I'm also a big Noah Hawley fan. I'm a big fan of the Fargo show, of what I've seen of it. I've seen the first season, I think, and then Legion is a perfect 3 seasons. So this was something that I was eagerly anticipating pretty much since it was announced. And
Okay.
Chunko.
Yep.
I would be what you like to call a bit of a fan of the Alien series. uh, I got into the series a little like while I was doing my first like little binge of horror movies when I was a teenager, and the Alien series just stuck with me. My favorite movie of all time is actually Aliens, and I actually during we were watching the Alien Earth series, I rewatched it again, and yeah, my opinion is still the same. Uh, shoot, like greatly inspirational to me. Uh, Kind of funny how both my favorite movie series and my favorite video game franchise is both the Alien franchise and the Metroid franchise. Two franchises are very connected. Um,
Yes, yes. For those who don't know, Metroid has always kind of been based off of the Aliens movies, and so you can kind of pick apart. Metroid is a little bit like Alien. Uh, uh, Aliens is very similar to Metroid 2 because you go to the home world and pretty much exterminating the life form. In fact, the famous planet on Alien is LV 426, and Metroid, it's a SR388. So definitely very much connected. And even the different motherly um, the motherly themes of Metroid ripped directly from Alien, because parentage is a huge thing in this franchise.
And also, not to
Yes.
mention Ripley and Ridley. So
Yep.
yeah,
What?
it's
Well, no, Ridley Scott.
Well, yeah, Ridley
yeah,
Scott's where that comes from.
yeah. So uh, so I think Caleb Chucko's perspectives are pretty similar, or at least their backgrounds.
Yep.
So the way we usually do this is we'll just do kind of a did we like it or not like it, and then so if you don't want to get spoiled, you can go make your go watch it and then come back and watch the rest of the video. So I'll go first. I quite liked the series. I don't think it's scary at all. There was I don't know if there was any jump scares. I mean, not really. It was mostly
there's one that got me that we'll bring up in the spoiler section, but there's one that got me. That's really
Yeah,
funny.
Exactly what you're
but
talking
it's a
about.
lot of what I like, world building, a lot of exploring this world, and let's do something different with the Alien franchise. And so I really enjoyed that. But it's you're gonna have people make stupid decisions that get on your nerves. Yeah, so there is that. And if you're going and expecting like every week to be like a mini Alien movie, you're not going to get that. It's not going to be like we're tense on the run from the aliens every week.
Mhm.
It's that is not what this series is. So if you go in expecting that, I think you're going to be very disappointed. But if you want to learn more about the world of aliens and exploring some different concepts about what's next for humanity, I think it's a very interesting show. So
Mhm.
I quite enjoyed it.
So myself, I'll put it to you this way. I quite like Andor the show, um, but I it's one of those things where it's like, yes, Andor is a show that I like, but I don't personally understand all of the hype around it. Like, it's the greatest sci-fi TV show of all time. Something that, Andor is a show that I like, but the way people talk about it, I don't understand it.
Right.
Alien Earth is how I feel people talk about Andor. This is one of the greatest sci-fi shows of all time. At least, with this first season. And going into this, we weren't entirely sure if this was going to be a whole series, or just a mini series. With Noah Hawley, it's really hard to tell with that, because he does either anthology. Legion was written as a 3-season thing. So honestly, it was kind of a crapshoot whether or not this was going to be one season or a whole show. This definitely is the first season of a show. And so if the show keeps up its momentum, this will surpass The Expanse. This will surpass Battlestar Galactica, being the greatest sci-fi television show of all time.
And
Um,
I was going to say I think I read somewhere that he has a plan for 3 seasons if they'll let him. They're still waiting
okay.
to see if it's going to be renewed for season 2. So
I would be remiss if it didn't.
it's Disney. There's no telling what they'll do.
I know.
Maybe if it
And
was on Disney Plus and they need another Emmy bait.
you know what's the weirdest thing though? Andor felt like Emmy bait. This doesn't feel like Emmy bait. But it's like it's better. like if it doesn't win
it's
Emmys.
FX. All FX shows have that Emmy bait vibe.
Point taken. And then
Including Always Sunny.
and I'm not really familiar with I'm at the point where I've kind of stopped paying attention to the cultural zeitgeist of what people think. So I'm not aware of whether or not people like the show or not. I just assumed that people liked it because I thought it was really good. And if people honestly, if people don't like it, they may not actually be Alien fans, because the Alien fans that I know are kind of like um uh they're kind of like Chunko and I, where we do love the scares, but we also have a little bit of what Monkey's saying, that man, the world building is just so on point in this franchise, and a TV show is prime for this.
So I haven't watched a lot of the other video reactions. I've just seen the thumbnails, and they all seem to think this is the dumbest show ever made, and that I seem to think the complaint is, oh, they're acting like these characters are geniuses. They're all idiots. Seems to be the
No.
well, we will
can't-
get to that. We will get to
Well,
that.
yeah, we'll get into it.
Me and Caleb talk about this. It's like they did some choices in the show where it kind of explains that aspect in a
Yeah,
pretty
so
reasonable way.
So we'll get into that.
But yeah, so for me,
So there are
this
exceptions.
this is a thumbs up. This is a 2 thumbs up. This is a 5 stars, 10 out of 10. I absolutely adored this show. Junko.
I would give it a 9 out of 10. I don't think this is a perfect show. I think there are definitely some blemishes within the show that weakens it. Some weak episodes, some questionable effect shots. One aspect about the Alien series that a lot of people forget is that they are effects powerhouses, and for the most part, I think the effects in this show are really good, especially for a TV show. But there are certain shots and certain
There's one
scenes where I'm
no
just,
there is one 3-frame shot that he's been mad about for weeks. Okay, I'll let you know.
There's a second one. There's a second one.
Then we haven't talked about the second one. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I also want to
There's
point
also
out.
a third shot. There's also a third thing that some fans have complained about, but I didn't really notice it all that much. So, like, until I had to actually like pause and look at it. So, not too big of a deal on that part. But again, later we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, I would say that overall, the show is really good, and I hope that with season 2, they iron out some of the kinks, and the rest of the 2 seasons will just be like smooth sailing and just like really good. Though I will say there are some things that that do concern me in terms of like theming, that that this show may fall into the same pit traps as a lot more recent Alien properties have fallen into. But for the most part, I think they're handling those aspects pretty well. Just slight concern, but I'm enjoying what I'm seeing right now.
So that is 3 recommends. I also want to point out that I think you all watched it week to week, whereas
Yes.
I've marathoned it. So that may also have affected my viewing. Where you all are saying, "Oh, there was a couple weak episodes." I was just kind of flying through them. So if there was a weak episode, I was just on to the next one. So it didn't really matter.
For us it was a little different, because I'm trying to remember, we were in the middle of watching something else when Alien Earth premiered, and we didn't want to start another show while we were in the middle of something else. I can't remember what it was. So I think it was around episode 4 maybe, where we we binged the first 4 episodes and then started watching week to week, I think is what it was.
So there's our recommendations. If you have not watched it, it is on Hulu. So I highly
Mm.
recommend watching it if you're at all curious. If you're worried about jump scares, it's not that bad. It is
No.
gory, but it is not. It is. I think it's very
Yeah.
tolerable.
I mean, if anything, I know you say that you don't really watch Alien because you don't like the jump scares. I I don't think this is really any different from the movies as far as scare. But I personally don't think that the movies have a whole lot of jump scares either. So if you, I would say if you're a fan of this show, definitely, and you're not a fan of like jump scares and scares are not normally your thing, I'd still encourage you to check out the films as well because honestly, if you can sit through this, you should be able to sit through the movies as well.
And if I think that as Chuck was saying, the best one is Aliens, and I really don't think Aliens is scary at all. It's actually a very cool
Mhm.
movie though. So I definitely check that one out if you haven't. All right,
Me,
let's
me,
get
me
into the show.
personally. Oh, yeah. Never mind. I was going on a tangent. Let's get into the show.
Yeah, let's get into the show. So full spoilers from here on out. So the we're not going to go beat by beat what happened. We're just going to tackle some different topics of discussion. So I sent a
Mhm.
list. We don't have to stick primarily to a list, but I think it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Um, the first thing that pops up is it's telling you there's three types of you got the cyborgs, the synths, and the hybrids. So this show is exploring hybrids, which I believe is brand new to the world of Aliens. This idea
Yes.
of a
Well, well,
uh,
actually, there have been certain instances in like comic books and games where they've shown off hybrids, but that's
mhm,
only in like EVP. So this is the first time hybrids have been in like mainline.
right. And I was just going to ask Winona Ryder's character in was it Resurrection or whatever? She's just a synth, right?
Well,
Correct.
yeah, she was a synth built by synths.
Gotcha. Okay. Just was curious. So there is a connection, but just wanted to throw this in there. Doesn't just a little alien lore that Blade Runner is probably a part of the aliens world. There are connections in the Blade Runner movie. They use similar computers, and there's references to Weyland Yutani and stuff. So I always think of the replicants as a precursor to the Sims.
Hmm.
Um, so I was just gonna throw that in there. That just fun lore. Um, and I've grown the last year to really enjoy the Blade Runner universe. So,
Yeah.
um, all right. So these hybrids, they're all created by this boy genius, boy Cavalier, and he has named them all after the Lost Boys. He seems to think of himself as Peter Pan, and these are his creations. Um, and so we have these hybrids. They are children who were all had terminal illnesses, and so they had their minds placed into these synth bodies. And
And
go ahead.
oh, go ahead. What I was going to say is the first thing that we noticed when we were watching this is they do really interesting things with the idea, but he and I are convinced that this all starts from the complaints that uh,
Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
the complaints that Prometheus and Alien Covenant had, which is everyone's acting so dumb, right? That was the
Mhm.
big complaint whenever, and so what they've done is they've taken characters and they've guaranteed that they have the minds of children. And
Yeah,
so when they act dumb, there's a reason because they're kids.
yeah,
It's and like I said, I think it starts there, and they do really interesting things with it. But
Mhm.
we are convinced it starts as an answer to Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
There's also I listened to some of the official podcasts. I didn't get to go through all of them, but I did listen to some of them where they were interviewing the cast and stuff. And there's this underlying question that the show kind of dabbles with. It never really officially answers it. Of are these still the same kids, or are these Sims that just have the memories? Is the soul of those kids in these Sims, or are these Sims just something totally new? And to me, this is what X-Men was trying to get to in the Krakoan era and never really it all kind of fell apart, but these were kind of the same questions they were making about when they clone and resurrect the X-Men. Are they really the same X-Men? Does
Yeah.
the soul transfer? So I think that is a underlying theme here. It's just what are these the Lost Boys? Is it just the kids inside robot bodies now, or are they something completely different?
Hmm.
And I think every character in the show probably has a different answer to that question of what they think the answer is.
And it's one of those things where um, I have a feeling that that is going to be like a main theme going forward in like season 2 and season 3, especially with the relationship between Wendy and Joe.
Yes, definitely. And there's a character named Dame Sylvia who she's one of the main scientists, and she's kind of like she's trying to be a motherly figure to him. I don't know how well she's doing.
Doing very poorly.
Yeah, yeah. And she is visiting their graves, though, of the kids who had their transferred, and she's putting flowers on the graves. So it's kind of like, well, are they the kids or not? You're putting
Yeah.
flowers on the graves, so like you're mourning them, but you're also claiming, oh no, that's them over there. And so I think the characters are all very conflicted about what they are doing,
Well,
and is this right? And so I think it's interesting.
Well, I think the point is like with since we're in spoiler territory with the finale, their sort of turn against the Lost Boys' turn against everyone stems from the fact that they found their own graves. They've sort of lost faith that they are truly those kids anymore, if they bother to even give them graves to begin with.
Yeah, and I think that the death of was it Toodles, Isaac, whatever his name
Isaac,
was.
yeah.
I think that is what really shook them, was the reaction of Kid Cavalier, where he's like, "Oops, we lost our floor model. Oh well." Just it's like, "Oh, I dropped my iPhone and cracked it. Oh
Mhm.
well."
Yeah.
Let's I
Which
think that was kind of the breaking point for a lot of for Wendy, at least.
and I need to go ahead and say this. Where do I have him? There he is. So this is Boy Cavalier, the boy genius, head of the Prodigy Corporation, rival of Weyland Yutani. I was so scared by the end of this season that he was going to get his comeuppance and die.
Same
And
here. I was like, "Do not kill this character off. Please do not kill this character."
he is the best part of the show.
I thought he was going to be the victim of the Oculus.
Yeah. We thought that he was going to be the victim of the Oculus, and I'm like,
Yeah.
thank God he's not. And I don't know if there's always some sort of Christ thing ever since Prometheus, and so at the end when they've got him tied up,
been a Christ thing since Alien 3.
Regardless, when they got him tied up in confinement at the end, he's in like a cross pose, and I'm just like,
it's more than that. Dame Sylvia's in a Mary pose, and then Kirsch is in the Death of Christ pose, where he's laying there. It's all three, yeah. And there's no resurrection in that picture, so it's kind of like we're moving. It's kind of like the show saying, "Okay, that's humanity. Hybrids are moving past this now. This is a new miracle that you are seeing."
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I had to get that out.
That was not my discovery. I was watching Screen Crush, and they were discussing that and the pictures and what they bet. So gotta give them some credit. So
yeah, but yeah, I just had to get that out there because we have a we have a cast of killers. Timothy Olyphant as Kirsch is fantastic. Sydney Chandler as Wendy. I think this is like her first big thing. But man, Samuel Blenkin as Cavalier absolutely steals the show. And ironically, the only other thing that I've seen him in was he was in an episode of Black Mirror called Lock Henry, and it's an episode that's like, it's okay. It's not one of the greatest episodes. It's not an episode of Black Mirror that people talk about, and he's kind of just okay in it as well. He's just kind of a kid, not a kid, but it involves his mom and everything. So like, you know, he's just kind of there. I mean, dude is just chewing up the screen in every scene he's in. He is the best part of this show.
Yeah, I really liked him. And he's always barefoot. It's always fun. Yeah, he's just a fun, eccentric character who thinks he's the smartest man in the room, and I think everybody's too scared to tell him that maybe you're not sometimes.
And another thing, so not only did they not kill him by the end, but it's also he learned nothing. It is so obvious that he learned nothing, and I love it. Because when she said, they're like, what do we do now? And she says, now we rule. And then he starts smiling and laughing while being tied up. And I'm like, yes, this character's the best.
Yeah, I think he's kind of surprised, like, oh, they are, you know, I have succeeded to create something that's amazing, that's going to change the world, and he's thrilled. He can't wait to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's great. Who else have I got here? We could talk some Kirsch as well.
Yeah, let's go back to the hybrids real quick while we're on them. I was just want to say, I think that probably my least favorite was Slightly and Smee. They're very they act the most like little kids, I think.
That's actually why I like them the most. I like them the most because they act the most like kids.
Yeah, especially Slightly.
Like the actor who plays Smee did a fan-freaking-tastic job. He straight up acts like a kid.
Yeah. I will say the way I don't think Slightly and I'll have to go back and watch this, because now that you mention it, you are correct that Slightly acts the most like a kid. I don't think he starts acting most like a kid until Morrow threatens his mom. I think that's when...
Oh wait, am I getting them backwards? I thought that was Smee, but maybe that is Slightly.
No, yes. So Slightly is the Indian kid.
I was thinking of Smee. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
never mind.
I like Smee because he acts like a kid, even though he doesn't really get too much material.
So my favorite character was Nibs.
Nibs
found her
great.
Fascinating, and when she says she's pregnant, well, my first thought was that she is saying, "Oh, the eye creature, she got infected by the eye creature," which that was not the case. But I also wondered if she thinks, "Oh, if I say I'm pregnant, they will never send me on a mission like that again, because now I'm a fragile, like, you know, oh, we can't send a pregnant woman into something like that." You know, I don't know. It's interesting. Does she really think she's pregnant? Is she lying? Has she convinced herself? And it's never really told. They just, okay, we're going to raise her mind. And then that kind of makes her even more feral and out of control. And it's kind of don't mess with their memories. It just makes them worse.
The way I took that is she's a kid who never had the talk. So she doesn't understand how pregnancy happens. And so
she kind of said, though, I lived on a farm. I know how this works, but I don't know if she fully understands it. You know?
Yeah, like it's one of those things where, like, I don't think that there is. I don't think she's lying about I think she actually thinks she's pregnant. Because she doesn't understand. I think that's just how messed up she got. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, but there are people who convince themselves that they are pregnant, and they will start showing signs that they are pregnant even though they are not. So I didn't know if it was, something similar. But yeah, she's definitely been traumatized by the encounter with the eye creature, and
Mhm.
may or may not have a traumatic past. The actor was saying that it wasn't in the script or anything, but she kind of played her as if there's something very traumatic. Maybe she was abused in the past or something, and so this is reawakening past traumas and stuff. So,
Yeah, I would say of the ones that are still alive, I could see us going into Nib's past and she's abused. I think that Curly or Jane probably uh, probably was either the favorite, like because she was terminally ill, she's used to the family being revolved around her, because she was always obsessed with being boy's favorite, when she obviously wasn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Isaac, who I feel like if I was one of the hybrids, this is probably who I would have been. that kid that just follows orders and, oh, you want me to do this, okay, and never really thinks about his own safety when he's doing it. Oh, well, you told me to stand by this creature, okay, I'm just going to stand here. And I mean, that's the way I was as a kid, just very obedient and then eager to please, and then oops, you're dead.
Which,
So
which, by the way, I talked about the jump scare that got me. It's whenever Oculus in the sheep's body hit
the glass.
hit the glass. That actually got me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did feel like, one of my complaints, I felt like that episode,
The Fly.
The Fly, that was a little contrived with like the broken door leading to that. It felt very Final Destination-y.
A little bit, but I don't know. I like Final Destination.
I felt like,
but this isn't this. I don't recall death being a part of the lore of Aliens.
yeah, I felt like, oh, this is the episode where people got to start making stupid decisions of dying. Is how I was like, oh, here we go.
Like, well, we need it. We need to have some. We need the plot to start.
Right.
We need Act 3 to start.
Right. So that's all I have to talk about the hybrids. Other than Wendy does have, she seems more exceptional than the others. She seems to have some type of technokinesis where if she touches any type of network, she can affect what is on that network. Is how I took her powers.
Well, but
And
at the end, she wasn't touching it though.
then,
That's the interesting thing, because
yeah.
so she's getting more powerful.
Yeah, it's kind of
She's using
vague
the-
of what
the-
all
the
she's able to
tech
do.
force.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I'm sure it will be explained further on down the line, but for this season, I am glad it is vague. I find it more interesting.
There is a lot of stuff about the show that they kept vague this season, and I think that was also one of the complaints was, oh, there was no resolution, whatever. And I was kind of like, well, it's season 1. There
Yeah.
should be resolutions to everything.
Well, I would appreciate at least a bit of a carrot, more of a carrot on a stick.
Right.
You know,
I get it. Yeah.
you don't have to be like, okay, here's all the plot twists and all the reveals. So, like, give me something a bit more to look forward to.
Yeah,
'Cause
something to
currently,
chew
right
on,
now,
and
all we
yeah.
have to look forward to
Yeah,
currently is Wayland Yutani invading the island.
I don't know. If I can be so facetious, I think the thing that we have to look forward to is just more of this cast, more of this show, more of this story.
Yeah, but, like,
If I may, I know that that's not anything super specific, but I mean, it's, to me, this show is that good that, like, the carrot on the stick is just watching more show.
So speaking of characters that are vague, let's go ahead and move on to Kirsch.
Yes.
He he is the synth that works for Kid Cavalier or Boy Cavalier, whatever his name is. They kept calling him Kid on the podcast. So my brain keeps flipping back and forth. It seems to me that he has orders to obey Cavalier. However, if you're not super specific, then Kirsch is going to do what Kirsch wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like is how his character is, and I think that he doesn't quite know what to make of the hybrids. Like he's kind of trained them, but he's also kind of like they're tainted by humanity, and I there's just something about him. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna let them fail and see what happens. Like
Well, I wouldn't say
I-
exactly that, but he definitely doesn't have the best interests in the Lost Boys in mind.
yes.
But I would argue I don't think he has the best interest for Prodigy in mind either.
Oh no, I don't
if-
either.
If I'm being honest, I think our three most famous synthetics in the Alien franchise are Ash,
Bishop.
Bishop, and David. Right?
Mhm.
He reminds me the most of David, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's one of those things like it really came to a point whenever Smee and Slightly are trying to sneak out Arthur with the face hugger, and he's like, oh, we'll just go this way. It's like he doesn't care, he just wants to see what happens, you know.
Well, also he wanted to lure Morrow to the island. I feel
Yeah.
like he's really focused on that rivalry.
Yeah, which by the way, so Cavalier is the best part of the show. Second best part of the show is Morrow and Kirsch's rivalry.
Yeah,
I
I
love
feel
it.
like it was telling that the first scene, I think it was the first scene of Kirsch, is he's discussing a scorpion. I think he is the scorpion in this building, in this group, that he's the one you should not be trusting at all.
Yeah, and I mean Timothy Oliphant is just he needs more credit because he was great and Justified. I mean, he does what you can with Cobb Vanth and Mandalorian, but that character's kind of simple. But I don't know. Timothy Oliphant is he's such a good actor, and he is perfect for this role. And the best synthetic actors are the ones who can be so stoic, and yet you can still very slightly, no pun intended, see emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's move on to Morrow. He is the Weyland-Yutani employee who is determined to get the aliens back. The ship he was on crashed out into Prodigy territory, into a building, and so his goal is to get them back. And he encounters the hybrids. He himself is a cyborg. He has a special arm and probably some chips in his brain that do different things. And he comes across as very mission focused. He only thing that matters is the mission, but he's also very curious about the hybrids, and could he one day be a hybrid? Be turned into one if he completes his mission. I think that may be an underlying goal, or I don't know. It's hard to tell exactly why he's so loyal to Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be something that we don't know yet. Like maybe he's got a daughter that has a sickness that Weyland is.
Well, he definitely has a daughter, but they said she'd be 70 now, right? Because when he went into
Right.
hibernation.
Right.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So I don't know if he kind of sees himself as inferior because he's, just a cyborg, and now he's like, oh, I could live forever if I'm one of these. Or yeah, I don't know. I don't know what exactly he's.
To me, Morrow is the kind of man who has nothing to live for, except for the mission he was given.
Ooh, okay, interesting idea. So we're at the point where Joe has a synthetic lung, and so for all intents and purposes, he kind of owes Prodigy. What if Morrow was Joe like 100 years ago?
Well,
and
no, that it basically was how it was. Like, the CEO of Utah, the old CEO of Utani, the old Utani, found him as an orphan, just like barely scraping by, and kind of took him as a loyal security officer to basically do whatever is needed. He had a daughter, but his loyalties ultimately lie with Utani, and because of that, that is his loyalty. That is his purpose in life.
Yeah.
I also want to point this out. I'll go ahead.
But there is a bit of, though his morals are quite bent, I wouldn't say that they're broken. When he was threatening Slightly's family in order to get his cargo, I don't think he was going to actually do anything.
Yeah, I don't either. I definitely think that was a bluff.
Mainly because it's not because I see some good in it. No, it's because when he was he broke out of jail with Joe. He talked about how he was willing to evacuate people. He says, if you're going to evacuate anyone, evacuate the children first.
Yeah, before you burn it down, get the children out here first. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's an interesting character. I don't think he's fully a villain, although he's kind of the antagonist of the series. I don't think he.
I would say he's pretty justified in his actions, considering what episode 5 had him deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Margino, I think is the name of the ship.
The Maginot.
Maginot.
Yeah, Maginot, the name of it's actually kind of funny.
I love the name, the Maginot Line. Yeah. Are you familiar with the Maginot Line?
No.
So the Maginot Line was a bunker that and a line that covered the French-German border during World War II, and it failed, which allowed Germany to invade France in 1940.
Gotcha.
So it is the perfect name.
Yeah. So we get introduced to these characters a little bit in episode 1, and then it's not till episode 5 where we really see them kind of fleshed out. But I wanted more of these characters. I still felt like there was a lot more to explore there.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, episode 5, for all intents and purposes, was kind of a remake of the original Alien. So, you just, give it a...
It's 100% a remake of the original Alien, but it's definitely aping the style of Alien.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Give it another hour, and you would have been satisfied with the characters, getting to know them. Because at that point, it would have just been, a movie.
Yeah, but I think it's more fun because it's not just the xenomorphs. There's other alien threats on the ship, and so you're kind of like, okay, which one's going to do what? We know they're all going to get out, but how and why, and it's a lot of people making really stupid decisions, of course, but that's to be expected, except for Morrow. I think Morrow was the most the most competent on the ship.
Yeah, and even then, with these adults making dumb decisions, for the most part, I do understand, because we have an acting captain who was compromised because she was sleeping with the captain.
Yeah, and suddenly your captain is dead or dying, and so now everybody's thrown into chaos. The whole ship's in chaos now.
Mhm.
I get it. And she was kind of frozen, not able to act and stuff. And there were moments where I was like, okay, why is the doctor just cutting into him and not taking any precautions about, oh, this might be, hazardous, what's going on here? But again, I think everybody was just panicking, and I think in the panic, people were just making dumb decisions.
Mhm.
Um,
Which honestly has always been my defense of Prometheus anyways. Like, people have that complaint about Prometheus. I've never subscribed to it because people are scared. They make dumb decisions, and that's
Well,
life.
the real problem comes from Alien Covenant. That's
Yeah,
where the dumb decisions really get bad.
yeah, but that's already a bad movie, so who cares? Oh man. But yeah, what I do like is because it is kind of, it's almost a prequel. No, I'm sorry, it's almost a remake of Alien. Uh, but I like the fact that we start basically in Act 2 of Alien,
Yeah.
where dude's already got the face hugger on him. They're already back on the ship, and they're like, "Okay, what do we?" Because guess what? We know what happened on that planet. You know.
Yeah, and I
Um,
feel like the show teases you a lot, like, oh, there's an egg there, someone's leaning close to the egg, you know what's gonna
mm,
happen, and then it doesn't happen. They do that a
Yeah,
lot with playing for your expectations.
I
yeah.
will say the suspense. You said it wasn't scary, but I found the suspense in the first 3 episodes to be phenomenal.
Oh yeah, when they're in the building, suspense wise, yeah, it's scary
Mm.
that way. I'm just talking about things jumping out. I can handle
Yeah.
that kind of suspense fine. It's the you know things constantly jumping out, and maybe it's just I'm
I
getting
mean,
better, more used to it the more that I'm watching more movies.
oh,
So
well,
I think you
Alien
are,
doesn't have
honestly.
Alien One
yeah,
doesn't have that many jump scares. It has 2 jump scares, though they
Uh,
are the 2 best jump scares of all time.
yeah.
by the way, speaking of the building, I just want to mention one of the greatest scenes being the secret society of aristocrats getting locked in the room with the alien.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that when we got to the xenomorphs. A lot of the kills from the xenomorph we do not see on screen, and they happen so fast. Its ability to kill so many people so quickly is terrifying.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Um,
Yeah, I felt like they were like the Hellfire Club from X-Men,
yeah.
and they just got destroyed. And
There were certain complaints I've heard about the inconsistency of the speed of the xenomorphs killing. Because if it's like a non-named character, they just kill them like that. But then when it's like an important character, it takes its sweet time, like go all slowly. But to be fair, from what the scenes I've seen, I would defend it just because one of the things xenomorphs like to do is that if they have a human that doesn't have any weapons or isn't an immediate threat, they'll usually try to not kill them but cocoon them
yeah,
for later use.
the
That's
other
a
thing that we'll talk about when we get to xenomorphs is Wendy is able to communicate with them. We don't know what Wendy's saying to this thing. We
Yeah.
have no idea what order she has given it, and so yeah, we don't know why it hesitates with Dame Sylvia. Is it just, oh, she's not a threat, or what? It's hard to say.
Yeah. Well, and by the end, they've rounded up the adults minus Arthur, who's already dead. So one could infer that uh, she's like, "Don't kill him. We're rounding him up." Uh, the the security,
Mhm.
weapons free. You know.
And I guess the last order she, because when they were getting attacked on the boat, she didn't give it an order, like just hold. So maybe that's also why it didn't kill Dame Sylvia. Because I think that was like the next scene was
Yeah.
the next episode started. So hard to say what the alien has been told to do. So
And it's also interesting to be like, is this kind of like a hive mind, like it has to do with what Wendy says, or is it Wendy's friend now?
I
yeah,
would say
so
it's kind of a mixture of both, because the thing about the xenomorph that I find very fascinating is that it's sort of a pseudo hive mind. Like, the drones have their own intelligence, and they have a very high amount of intelligence,
mhm.
but they do prioritize the intelligence of the queen more. But
Yeah, I
like,
took it
what?
now the acting queen because there is no other queen on Earth. So it
Mhm.
is treating her like it's the queen that she is, or
Yeah,
that it's taking orders
that's
from.
how I figured it.
Yeah.
Is that she is the acting queen.
So let's talk
That's why
about
even
jump
the
over.
xenomorph that wasn't even that never even interacted with Wendy is also tamed by her,
Yeah.
because she's the acting
Um.
queen.
Yeah.
It would be
Uh.
interesting. What would be really interesting is if this show, if one of the actual like eggs actually has a queen egg in there, like a queen facehugger in there. That would be really interesting.
Right, because not all I think there were 4 eggs originally. I think 2 of them still have
6
not
eggs, I
hatched.
think.
6 eggs.
Correct.
So there's still more eggs that have not hatched.
Yeah. So currently, it's there's 2 left, I
So
think.
let's talk. Before we move on from the Maginot, I just want to bring up. I think his name was Tang.
Yeah.
What an odd character. I can't tell if he was autistic or if he was a synth. And I don't ultimately I don't think he was a synth. I think he was just creepy because he would just stand over the one girl while she was hibernating and just watch her sleep and stuff. I
Yeah.
just think he was
I've met guys like that.
yeah, I just think he was unstable and socially awkward and just did not know how to communicate with other people is ultimately how I took it. Or I mean, I guess he could be a synth, but they didn't really ever spell that out. So
Yeah.
He's just that
And
guy,
yeah,
He's that one guy in the friend group that's just a little creepy towards women, so you gotta
yeah.
have to hang out with him a bit too much.
um, so I also think the highlight of episode 5, before we move off of episode 5, is whenever we discover that Cavalier paid Petrovich to do all of this. This was part of Cavalier's plan the entire time.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that in season 2 we get more of the other 5 corporations and all the corporate espionage that's going on behind the scenes, how they're all stabbing each other in the back while pretending to
Yeah.
cooperate.
Yeah, and like they're called the 5, and like the 5 thanks you for your patience. The 5 thanks you for this, and like it's so good.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean, this all comes back to Cavalier being the best character in the show, but anytime he's talking to Yutani, uh, and is just like, oh, well, I am definitely more than happy to give you your specimens back, but we have to wait the 6-day quarantine period.
Right.
It's
Right.
just, it's great.
Yeah, I kind of like if I can think of like once overarching theme of this show. This is kind of weird, but it's like almost like nihilism. Do you know what I mean by that? Like
Explain.
the name of the ship is the how you pronounce that?
Maginot.
The Maginot, which basically means that no matter what you're gonna do, it's the end result is gonna be that regardless. And I think that's sort of a meta way of showing like this show, because listen, we all know this is a prequel. We all know that in the end, none of these corporations are gonna get the xenomorph. This xenomorph ain't gonna survive the next couple couple years. We're not gonna hear anything about that again. In fact,
We'll get
even
to
in
that. We'll talk
e-
about if is this going to affect things majorly going forward. But go ahead.
and, like in fact, even these corporations are gonna survive in the future if Alien Resurrection is still canon.
Well,
So
there is a running theme here that humanity, and it's kind of a fear we have now, is will AI get to a point where it surpasses us? And I think this is what this is kind of deal about transhumanism. That how are we going to create something that conquers and species? Are we going to become food again, as Kirsch would say? And I
I do
think that is one of the themes here. Go
yeah.
ahead.
We'll actually I'll save that when we actually talk on the aliens.
And before we move on to the species, because I believe the species are technically next up, I just want to mention Arthur is
The
put.
extraterrestrial bicycle.
Yeah, he is just put through it, like.
And he seems to be the most, I don't know if innocent's the right word, but he's the
genuine.
Yeah, the least guilty of all the people on the island.
Well,
And
no,
really
he's the least guilty because he's the most guilty. Like he feels guilt for what he's done.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where that's kind of how Alien goes. Is if you're wondering who's gonna get the face hugger, it's gonna be the best person.
Yeah.
And then so the funny thing is for the first half of the show, Cameron and I are talking. We're wondering, okay, so who's gonna get the face hugger? And there came a point where we thought it was gonna be Joe, because
I didn't think it was gonna be Joe, because it would there's too much potential plot that would happen with him.
Yeah, too much plot armor on Joe.
Yeah. Which by the way, let me just clarify. We've been talking about Joe. Joe is Wendy's brother, who is like against pretty much everything that is happening, and he's just like, let's get off this island, please.
And I will compliment the show. They avoided some of the writing traps. I thought it was going to be kept a mystery for 6 episodes that Wendy is her or his sister, and they told him like right away. they just like, no, we're not dealing with all that.
Which is funny, because if it was adults, then yes, that's how it would have been. But they're kids, and kids can't keep secrets.
Right.
It's great. And so there came a point where we thought it was going to be Joe, and then whenever it came to after that, now the question that Cameron and I had was, okay, so who's Oculus gonna possess? Because we're like, because Oculus is gonna possess me. Part of me was like, okay, so he's gonna try it. He's gonna try Joe, but it's not gonna work. And so then there was part of me that's like, well, maybe this is how Cavalier gets his comeuppance, and it's gonna be Cavalier, or maybe Cavalier is going to just get an underling. There came a point where I thought it was going to be his assistant, but that was before we found out his assistant is also a synth.
And was also his dad.
Yeah, I kept wondering if they were going to do something with the guy cleaning the halls that we kept seeing.
Oh
I
yeah.
still think that that guy might be more important. They keep showing him. I don't know if it's just a running joke, or is it? Oh, is he a corporate spy from somebody else, or with these other companies, or what?
Corporate. You know what? Corporate spy, and it's not Utani. I think
Yeah,
that would be like just like one of the, like a third corporation. That would be my guess.
yeah, yeah,
And then by the end of the show, Oculus crawls over to Arthur's corpse.
yeah. You're like,
And
oh
I'm
man,
like, this guy just can't catch. Even in death, this guy can't catch a break.
right?
The bike of the extraterrestrial world.
Everyone gets a ride. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Oh.
talk about the
Also, the
creatures.
tragic irony of the fact that he did this whole thing because he couldn't have kids.
Oh my gosh. But yeah. So yeah. Let's go in with the organisms. Is there anything else that we need to say about the xenomorph? I feel like we should start with the xenomorph because it's the one that like you watch Alien, you watch Aliens, we know about this. You know.
I feel like I guess I'm assuming one of the complaints about the show is her ability to talk to him a commando, but I did not have an issue with that because I feel like, of course, the queen gives them messages somehow, and of course, they obey it. So if she's smart enough to figure out what their language is because she keeps hearing it, I had no issues with this.
Yeah. I would say, if anything, I am curious. so this the big thing about this is hybrids, right?
Mhm.
I am curious if we kind of do some Alien 3 things, where perhaps we start impregnating some of the organisms, and we have
Well, none of them have mouths.
true.
Yeah, and also the Oculus cannot take over the xenomorph because the xenomorph has no eyes.
Which is
So-
a great detail.
Yeah. So help me out here with the alien lore. We're stuck with the 6 alien eggs. They cannot make more eggs without a queen.
They actually
is that-
can.
They
Oh,
can.
they? Okay.
So
Some drones can.
well, no, specifically these type of drones can.
Okay.
So the this is something that was made in the director's cut of Alien, which
Mhm.
I would say because of Alien Earth is the new canonical version. Do you want me to? I'll save that.
Go ahead.
for later.
Yeah.
I'll save that part for later.
I
But
was just
overall,
wondering if we
there's
were
a
stuck.
There's a scene where it's revealed that the xenomorph is taking the corpses of the crew members and turning them into xenomorph eggs.
Interesting. Okay.
So they can reproduce without a queen.
Okay. Because I was just wondering if we're just stuck to these 6 aliens, potential xenomorphs, or is it? Oh, it's going to be a full-scale invasion of Earth. Is that potential? I didn't know. So
There's most certainly a potential.
okay.
Now, the thing about the thing that people were complaining about with some of the effects of the xenomorph,
Hmm.
the one that a lot of people were talking about, but I didn't really notice it while I was watching it, was the xenomorph in the first couple episodes, specifically about how rubbery it looked. Because if you see the picture, he does look a little rubbery.
Well, I think it was a guy in an actual costume.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
xenomorph in all the Alien films except
Right.
for Covenant was in a costume, but they
Right.
usually slime it up. They usually
Gotcha.
cover him in slime in order to make him not look as rubbery, but they didn't really do as much slime. So I would assume the reason that they didn't slime him up was because this was a TV show and they needed to not ruin the suits.
Yeah.
Because they need to stretch that suit for as long as possible.
And I heard that they tried to do as many practical effects as possible on the show. So to me, it didn't bug me. I'm just, yeah, it's a xenomorph. That's what they look like,
Right.
so,
So,
I didn't notice the rubber on these scenes, but I did notice some other not so great effects.
Yeah,
But Caleb,
go
talk
ahead.
talk about your favorite scene.
What?
Talk about that scene that scared you. Or well, there's another scene that scared you. Remember the statue scene?
Oh my god, that was so good.
Yep.
That was so. It was in episode 2
It was
where
episode 2.
where there's a statue in the middle of the room in this building that's like all black, and so they just pay no mind, walk by it, and then he just moves like just very slightly in the background. You see, oh my gosh, that's not a statue, that's the xenomorph, and it was amazing.
yeah, and
that may be an also reason for why it's not so slimy, because they wanted to pull off that scene, which I respect that.
Before we
But
move on to end,
but let me tell you about the two scenes that two other effect scenes that I believe weren't great.
yeah, just let him get this off his chest.
Yeah. So the chest burster scene. Now the chest burster scene in every Alien series, Alien movie, is usually like the money shot when it comes to special effects. You know?
mhm.
And I thought that the chest burster scene in Alien Earth, when it was on Arthur, was pretty bad looking. Mainly because they made it too fast, and they also used digital blood. They didn't use real blood. So it just looked really fake. It looked really bad. I did not like that.
Well, again, I felt like they're like, oh, we can't really surprise the audience with a chest buster scene. They know what's coming. And so,
I still like get chills watching some the original chest burster scene. So
yeah,
like it to be honest, the fake blood sort of took me out of the shock of the scene.
mhm.
And there was another scene that I thought was a little meh in terms of effects. When it was in the last episode when Wendy and Joe get Cavalier cornered by the xenomorph. There's one shot of the xenomorph that looked like he looked like a bobblehead. Like he looked so misproportioned. He looked like his head was like he looked like a chibi, like a chibified version of the xenomorph. It did not look great. I think it was because of bad camera angles for that part, because all the other shots of that xenomorph looked great. And also, if you notice, the xenomorph in Alien Earth, like the later episodes, is actually a different xenomorph design than the one we see in the first 3 episodes. Have you noticed that?
I did actually, yeah.
Because his head's a bit more like stained glass looking, and like it may have something to do with the way he was birthed, because all he had was the lung to work with, a damaged lung to work with. You know?
Yeah, no, if anything, I probably would have been upset if he didn't look different, because I'm like, you can't just birth the same thing out of just a lung.
Yeah, because that would kind of break. That would potentially break the entire series. But yeah, I actually do like the xenomorph design later on. I think it works better with the technical limitations you have as a TV show. It definitely works a lot better in sunlight. Though I do think that the classic design, which was seen in the first 3 episodes, definitely needs a bit more slime.
Yeah, I think the later one, it it almost had like a camouflage look to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there's a
Mhm.
green tint to it. I thought that
Mhm.
worked very well. Um, so out of the other aliens, I think my favorite had to be the Oculus.
Yeah, I think that's everybody's
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah. Oh my god. So it's Cavalier, Morrow, and Kirsch's rivalry, and Oculus. That's what this show's about.
Yeah.
Whenever for season 2, whenever there's a scene without the Oculus, somebody in the set should say, "Where's Oculus?"
Yeah.
It'd be fun if one of the other corporations gets their hands on Oculus. Like it's like a almost like a like a Cold War race of who could acquire the most alien species.
Yeah.
Or maybe it sneaks into another into another corporation
Hmm.
under their noses, like it takes control of the executive.
Yeah, that would be
I,
sweet.
I almost here's the thing. I definitely think the Oculus has to possess someone in a person of power. I we talk about like, oh man, what's Hirsch up to? What's Kirsch up to? Like what's his what's his thing? I'm just like, what is the whole time I was like, what is Oculus up to? Because I was there were times where like I thought he was trying to help, but then it's like, no, he's not trying to help. This is all self-preservation.
Hmm.
And it was just so like this is a creature that has no speaking lines and like there's no face, right? And
Yeah,
yet,
no facial expressions, but you know exactly what it's thinking.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's so interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely like Oculus. I definitely like the sheep and how creepy it was, and we have no evidence that Oculus can speak, although Boy Cavalier really wants to see if it can, if you put it in a human.
Yeah.
It has. Well, they did prove that it is capable of understanding us
Yes,
and
yes, it
can
is.
respond back.
So when it possessed the guy on the ship, it didn't speak, but maybe it will learn how to if it keeps possessing humans. Yeah, very cool character. Easily my favorite of the 4 new
Mhm.
ones.
Absolutely.
Who's next on our roster? The
Uh,
Blood Ticks.
the
Okay.
ticks.
Yeah.
Tick.
Yeah. Just gross.
These things freak me out because like whenever I was like, okay, so what is this thing? This is just a little like
Like a
this is
silkworm.
this is a little silkworm thing, and then it starts blowing up like a balloon filled with blood, and I'm like, oh my god.
Just sucks. This thing
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, if you
And-
grew up in the country like I did in Texas, our dogs would get ticks all the time, and they were just so gross. And yeah, no, this is not good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it turns out it's not only a mixture between a leech, tick, and silkworm, but also a stink bug.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it has pheromones as a defensive mechanism. Also, I think if I may say, the best part of episode 5 is just who's gonna drink this water.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it was so
It's classic Hitchcock.
yeah, like we're constantly watching for this water, and like
Yeah.
what even happens if you drink it? It's
Yeah, there's like a conversation, a scene going on, but you're just focused on the glass of water the whole time, or the mug or whatever it was. Yeah.
I think it was a tumbler,
Yeah. Space tumbler.
space tumbler.
Yeah.
and it was ended up being. I'm trying to remember what was it. It was like the kid wouldn't stop eating, right? And then like
yeah,
they were
'cause
having
he was eating
they were,
spicy food. I think he was choking on some Cholula,
yeah, he was
Yeah.
like a wuss.
yeah, it was something
He
like
was-
that.
How
Yeah,
do you get like super like how do you get like that with Cholula? How dare you?
All right. So what else we got?
Next up, I'm trying to remember. I think next up is the Plumacor. No, the Fly. So the Fly.
Oh yeah, the Fly. I think. Well, from what we saw is interesting. I wish we got to see a bit more of them, but
We-
to be
we-
fair, what else
we-
can you do with them?
We didn't even know of the Fly's existence until episode 6.
Yeah,
I think they kept showing the hive a little bit, but yeah, we didn't know what was going on there. And
I have a question. Did they establish that the Fly came on the Maginot, or was the Fly already there?
no, it was on the Maginot because I think there
Okay.
were 5
Yeah, well-
species on the
Okay.
Oh, sorry. We on our way there, we accidentally got a new species that happened to come in here. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously designed for the plot purpose of killing off Isaac, but I think
I think it's also a reminder. The Fly is physical proof that Kirsch's ideology is 100% wrong,
Okay.
because his whole thing was we aren't food. We aren't like you used to be food. We're not food anymore.
well, I think it was
But
more
the
that
Fly is physical proof that no, you're still a meal to them.
I think no, I think he was saying that you've convinced yourself that you're not food anymore, but you still are. The xenomorphs are proof that you're gonna.
No. No,
No,
he's
xenomorphs don't go after synths.
yeah, he's not talking about
Well,
scent.
that is true.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't go
So,
after synths.
so-
They don't see them as life forms. So
Yeah,
they
and
just see them
so-
as, like moving furniture.
the scene that he's referring to is the same scene that you're referring to, which is you've convinced yourself you're not food, and he is talking to, I believe, Cavalier at the point. But he also infers that synths
Gotcha,
and
gotcha.
hybrid are not food, and yet the Fly proceeds to eat Isaac.
Yeah.
Because they kind of remind me of Tyranids, actually, from Warhammer 40k, where they're insectoids that literally eat everything. Literally, if you are just any sort of biomass, they'll eat it.
And I'm curious if I guess they're low intelligence, because if they were smart, they would just spew acid and escape, on everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I would assume that the glass and the metal are anti-acidic, because
that is true,
like,
because
certain
they are
materials that
feeding
are
them.
anti-acidic.
Yeah.
Like, I saw that in Breaking Bad. Was that certain type of plastic?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The bathtub scene, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The only episode of Breaking Bad I've seen, the bathtub episode. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if there's anything else to really say about the Fly.
No.
It was hardly in the show.
Yeah. And so now we have Plumacare.
Oh yeah.
Plumacare is like, this was the one I was the most excited about as we're watching the show, because we like, Oculus is dope. We can see what it does. We see what the leeches do pretty much immediately. The Fly kind of shows up a little bit later, and then we immediately see what it does. Plumacare, we had no idea what this thing did.
We didn't even know if it was flora or fauna.
Yeah, it was teased very early on, I think episode 2, and then you're just like, okay, what is it? It's just looks like just a plant pod or something. What's going on here?
I was like, is it an egg? I thought maybe it was an egg.
Yeah, kind of the way it was acting reminded me of a Venus flytrap, like it was trying to pull something into the plant to eat it.
Yeah, but I don't think it saw. I think the reason why it never attacked like the synth is because you didn't see it as like food.
Right.
Like I feel like this is very similar to this from how it acted and from how it moved. It reminded me of a hybrid between a Venus flytrap and a starfish.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
more.
don't think it has a brain. I think it just simply sees potential
Uh,
nutrients and it goes after it.
I think it's smarter than you think it is. I think it's more of an octopus. Because if you kind of
Mm,
follow the what it does is they shoot the glass and it's able to squeeze through the bullet hole like an octopus is able to squeeze through small things, and then it kind of cloaks itself, and you can
Yeah.
see it climbing on the walls when it attacks.
Hmm.
So Screen Crush had a theory about this, that maybe this creature is from the Predator homeworld, and that is how predators learned how to cloak, was from this creature, like maybe adapting its camouflage
Oh.
abilities. And
hmm.
because Predator Badlands, I think it's the next one, there's like
Yep.
a tentacle creature seen in the trailer and stuff. So maybe there's a bit of crossover here.
That would be cool. I'm definitely all for that.
The
I think the scene where we finally, because I think Venus flytrap entered all of our minds whenever we saw this thing, but it was never for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as it grabs the as soon as it
one of the
grabs
mercs.
the one of the mercs, and like, I mean, it works exactly like a Venus flytrap,
Yeah,
where
just the crunching and the blood pouring out. You're like, okay, that
yeah,
was gross.
yeah,
And one of the things this show rewards you for is paying attention to the backgrounds. Like if you're watching the background, you can usually spot the xenomorph before it attacks or this alien. There's even a scene where Morrow kills guards in the background behind Kirsch, and if you're not paying attention, you won't see the blood stain. There's one shot of the guards behind him, and then when it cuts back, there's blood stains on the windows where he's killed, where Morrow has killed them.
yeah.
And so if you're not paying attention to the background, you'll miss these little details. So it's definitely not a show you can sit there and play on your phone and not pay attention. There's cool
Mhm.
stuff. You're rewarded if you're paying attention, and they will often. There's a thing they do where they kind of flash a character's face across the screen very briefly um, throughout the series to kind of help you with the storytelling and stuff. So it's definitely a show I recommend you pay attention and don't play on your phone while you're watching. So
100%, 100%. Ideally, all shows should be like that. But there are some shows that don't demand your attention, and that's
yeah,
a problem.
yeah.
That's a problem in and of itself.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
I 100% agree. If a show is smartly written and smartly created, you should definitely give it your all when watching.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about that? Let's
I don't
see.
think so.
So I think we've kind of covered most of
We-
our topics, other than what we want from season 2. I think is the
Well,
last thing.
well, and also we haven't covered how like the connections with the others with the rest of the series.
I think I think that can play into our what do we want from season 2. So
Yeah.
why don't you've got some things to talk about, the connections between the shows, the show and the movies. So go ahead. This will be the what do we want from season 2 section. Chunko, start us off with your
Okay.
connections.
Okay. So the big thing that this show reveals about the Alien series as a whole is that Weyland Yutani did not intend for the Nostromo to come in to LV
426.
426. It did not. They did not intend for the Nostromo to go to that planet. And it actually does connect to a retcon that was made with the director's cut. So, in the original theatrical version of Alien, it's explained that Ash was put on the Nostromo last minute kind of saying that he was planted there so that way the extraction of the xenomorph to Earth will be a success. In the director's cut, they removed that scene. So, and at first, it's kind of weird because why would you cut that scene? It's kind of pointless. But now we're being shown that no, they actually had a whole team to extract the xenomorph eggs, and they lost it. And I would assume that the events of this series directly leads to the order to go for Nostromo to go to the planet. And also the fact that Wendy is controlling the xenomorphs also explains why Nostromo specifically, because they have a synth. And even if if Ash can't control the xenomorph most likely won't go after Ash because xenomorph will just see Ash as a walking piece of furniture as long as it doesn't attack it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. But also, I think Weyland Yutani, they don't always share everything with their employees, so their employees don't exactly know exactly what they're getting into.
No, yeah, definitely. I definitely see what he's saying. That it's like, their plan was for the Maginot to bring home the specimens, but then Prodigy took that away from him. So just last minute, hey Nostromo, can you go over to this planet? Like it definitely tracks. I like it.
And I would assume that the event that the end of Alien Earth will result in the destruction of all the xenomorphs on Earth. Otherwise, why would they get that desperate in order to get those eggs?
Unless the aliens leave Earth by the end of the series, they
somehow,
which I'll talk to. I'll talk about when we get in a minute.
They will somehow be gone by the end of the series.
Yeah.
Prequelitis.
So one of the videos I watched, I can't remember if it was Screen Crush or one of the others, talked about how people do not like Alien Covenant because it implies that David had a big hand in creating the xenomorphs. And I haven't seen the movie. I'm just going by what they said. But this Alien Earth kind of undoes that because the Morrow's ship and their mission, if they've been asleep for 65 years or whatever, those events of them catching a xenomorph would take place before David did what he did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So.
Well, yeah, because we had this. Me and Caleb have been going on the freaking Deacon tangent.
Oh my gosh! Oh, we're gonna talk about the Deacon. Okay. Yeah, there are things about Prometheus that I didn't.
We'll talk about the Deacon real quick.
Go ahead.
It might be relevant. Who knows? So the xenomorph at the end of Prometheus?
Yes.
That's not a xenomorph. That is the Deacon, aka the xenomorph god.
Okay.
So basically, the story of the engineers, they found this creature known as the Deacon. That is what is on the mural
where he's like in a cross pose or whatever.
Yeah, that was what the xenomorph looking thing was on that mural, was the Deacon.
Mm-hmm.
And the Deacon's blood was used as a way to create life. It was a life-giving blood. And the substance that one engineer drank at the beginning of Prometheus was the blood of the Deacon. One of the last bits of blood of the Deacon.
Gotcha.
And when they ran out of the blood, they were like, oh crap, we need to find a way to make artificial blood of the Deacon. And they attempted it, and they failed and created the black goo. Instead of creating life, it created death, and life that was made from it became monstrous. And due to the events of Prometheus, kind of accidentally creating a facehugger of the Deacon, getting impregnating an engineer,
Mhm.
and creating a new Deacon.
Mhm.
Kind of like the return of God, the return of the living God.
Gotcha.
So maybe this will be relevant for season 2. Probably not.
So your name and concept for the Deacon, is that from a book or a comic book, or is that just something that is an internet theory, or where does that idea
that
come
is from the scrapped scenes from Prometheus that were
Gotcha.
filmed,
Gotcha.
and from older scripts of Prometheus.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the Deacon is essentially, like a xenomorph looking thing, but it was supposed to be like the size of Godzilla.
Gotcha.
Like that's how big it's supposed to be. Yeah. Whenever we did our Prometheus review, I'm like, this is too much to talk about currently. I'm trying to get someone to like Prometheus. I don't need to give them the details of the Deacon.
Yeah, I think that there was. I think the way Prometheus was originally written is it explained too much, and so they cut a bunch of stuff out to make it more mysterious.
Well,
and then,
no. Basically, the way it was the runtime of Prometheus was too long because not only there's a lot of lore dumps, but also the cast was too competent. So they had to cut a lot of scenes in order to make the plot go faster, basically.
Yeah, but I also think that when they made Alien Covenant, I don't know if there was different writers involved. I'm sure it was the same director, I believe. Right?
It was Ridley Scott, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think sometimes there's a disconnect between what the director thinks is going on and what the writers intended, and then things get changed.
Basically, the Alien Covenant, they basically took one of the scrapped final acts of Prometheus and turned that into a whole movie. Because one of the ideas for the final act of Prometheus was that there was going to be this weird pseudo xenomorph coming in and attacking people the size of a kaiju, coming from the engineer, known as a belugamorph, is what they nicknamed it. But now in Alien Covenant, it's known as a neomorph.
Gotcha. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Wendy and the hybrids. They are still evolving, and so we don't know quite what they're going to turn into. Screen Crush had a theory about this, and so I will give them all the credit. This is not my idea. I didn't even know about this character. Have y'all heard of the alien goddess? I'll bring up the image of her. It's from the Marvel Comics. And basically, in the far future, when someone gets face hugged, they have dark visions and hallucinations, and this is what they see as this alien goddess like calling to them. So their theory is, could this be what Wendy ultimately turns into? Are we seeing the birth of this creature? I know nothing about this. I'm just going by what Screen Crush said. Is this like
maybe that could just be how certain humans see the Deacon.
Yeah, I'm just throwing this out there. I have no idea if this was just something weird that Marvel Comics did and will never be touched on again, or what. So
that is interesting. Yeah, if anything, I don't know if like she'll become that, but I can definitely see them. I see this as a starting point for Wendy. I could see that. And then we eventually get to I mean, unless like they kill the like a xenomorph, and then out of respect, or not even out of respect, just like she turns it into armor and starts wearing it, something like that,
Or
maybe.
I could also
Or
see
they
like other things with the how the plot will go with some of the expanded material we know. Like potentially the xenomorph could use some of the corpses to make eggs, more eggs, so that way they can have more xenomorphs. Because I could definitely picture the current xenomorph we have right now to be sort of the alpha xenomorph, which is sort of a pseudo queen, but more focused on just the general preservation of the xenomorphs as a species. We saw one of those in Alien versus Predator. His name was Grid. Uh, but another aspect that I'm kind of hoping, something I hope happens in the series, is that one of the other two eggs is a queen egg.
Mhm.
And if that happens, imagine the conflict between Wendy and the queen alien.
Right.
Because,
That could be fun.
like, Xeno versus Xeno.
Yeah. One thought I just had while just looking at this picture is the series began with Wendy transferring her consciousness into a new body, and maybe that's how the series ends, her transferring her consciousness into another new body or some type
Oh,
of combination between Sims and aliens, or I have no idea, but just speculating.
well, and that would be even more interesting because then we're like, uh, is this even the same? Because the question is Wendy Marcy, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then by the end, if she transfers it into another body, is this even Wendy?
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Again, that was Screen Crush's theory. It's very interesting. I've never heard this character, but I just want to throw that interesting lore out there. So
If I had to guess, I
I assume it has nothing to do with Alien Earth. That is my guess.
yeah, if we're gonna go into comic books at all, my guess is more Dark Horse than Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Da- Dark Horse has always been closer to the tone of the movies than Marvel. Marvel makes comic books, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
yeah, the Marvel comics are more like the Aliens toy line with ATAX.
But
But then again, Disney said that all of our Marvel Star Wars comics are canon, and now they're kind of backing off from that a little bit. But they could say something similar if the Alien comics say, "Oh, these are canon," the ones that we make. So I have no idea. I don't know if any type of edict like that has gone out, but it's interesting.
um, I think another thing that's going to be interesting is uh, I think the most interesting thing going into season 2 will probably be either Joe trying to appeal to Wendy's humanity or Joe accepting that she's not human.
Yeah, and then Joe has a synthetic lung now, and will he become more synthetic as the series goes on, or I have no idea.
Yeah. I 100% think he's gonna be like like whenever I compared him to Morrow, that was not a figurative thing. I think that there will come a point where he's given more and more cybernetics.
Or he has a choice to make and he rejects it and
Yeah.
chooses to be human, and that pushes him and Wendy further apart. There could be all kinds of things ways they could go. So
Mhm. Um, I really hope. This is what I really hope. I hope that Cavalier, because they're all in the same, they're all in one room by the end. I kind of hope Cavalier gets his own room so that way, like the relationship between Cavalier and Wendy is kind of like a Hannibal Lecter Clarice situation where she's always going to him for advice and he's just tied up. Or like how Carl would go to talk to Negan while he's in prison
Yeah.
in Walking Dead. You know, just something like that. Like that. That's kind of what I want from Cavalier. I just want more Cavalier. That's really what I want.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to comment on for season 2, or I just hope Disney renews it. That's what I'm hoping right now.
Yes,
Disney,
yes.
please renew the show.
Please. Cameron, anything?
No, no, I think that's. I think I've said everything that needs to be said.
So we are now in spooky month. So next week we're talking about Punisher issues 1 through, what was it, 17 or 16? 1
I
through
think so.
16, which really doesn't have anything to do with Halloween yet. This is by Rick Remender, Punisher 1 through 16, but this will lead into the Frankencastle story. So we kind of have to read part 1 before we get to the stuff where he gets turned into a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be covering next week, and then the following week we'll get into the fun Frankencastle stuff. So, encourage everybody following along at home to read along. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I really like Rick Remender as a comic book writer. So
I do as well. I hadn't read much until you turned me on to him, and I really like his stuff now.
yeah, so that's the plan for next week. And until then, I've been Final Monkey.
I'm Caleb.
Pachinko.
We'll catch you next time in the deep end.
See ya.